Today, y'all better watch out. Today our scripture comes from Ephesians 5:21, and that's it. And it's serve one another out of reverence for Christ. That is our scripture, and that was part of our thought process and our theme. And if you want to bring up our wonderful sermon slideshow, it's the Pirates and the Bluegrass one that's on the bottom of the computer. I didn't incorporate it in, but I want to invite those youth and other adults who are able to be here today to come up with me here. Yeah, sorry, guess what? As we go through our slideshow and tell you a little bit about what we did on our mission trip. See, I didn't just go away on vacation, okay? We went to, this was our shirt, right? You guys can look at it. I know it's not all of you have seen it. It's okay. If I block, that's okay, right? This is our wonderful shirt. And our trip was from Washington/Greenville, although those in Greenville went down to Washington to go back. Thank you, Richard.
Yes, thank you.
And we traveled 529 and a half and some change miles. We had a little bit of back and forth at the end there for about 12 and a half hours. That did include some stops, so don't be too crazy. To Beattyville, Kentucky, which is in the heart of the Kentucky Appalachian region. There's not much more to say there, is there? And this is the sign that finally greeted us. Why did it finally greet us, Chad?
The GPS, I don't know why I took that because I didn't think of that. The GPS told us to go up David and Betty's Road, which it literally was David and Betty's Road. But when it came up to the top of the mountain, below it was Ross Lane where we were supposed to go. So somehow it's telling us to go over the mountain to get through the woods. So we had to go around the mountain and then back up to get where we were going. So the kids enjoyed laughing and yelling at me and telling me I was going too fast and also missing my spot, which I was following GPS, I was doing my job. Guys, you know that. We're doing our job, so we get yelled at.
So this is the sign that finally greeted us here at Kentucky Cornerstone. Kelsey, you have my...
Miss Dora.
Yeah.
Miss Dora, she was hard of hearing, but she was still really sweet and kind to let us sing. And her...
Kelsey, use the mic, please.
Sorry. Miss Dora, even though she was hard of hearing, she was kind enough to let us stay in our home while we worked on Mr. Rusty's house.
Turn that up a little more. It is all the way up.
We had a lot of snacks. A lot of snacks, right? Oh, let me pause. I'm so sorry. I fail at this. It's been a while since I've done this sort of presentation. I went on the mission trip, and Kelsey went on the mission trip from our church. But let us introduce those from First Christian Church in Washington who also went on the mission trip.
You guys probably know me. I'm the spouse. I'm Reverend Chad Norwood. I'm her lesser half. And then, Jordan, why don't you start?
I'm Jordan Chris.
And Elizabeth Gagnon is one of our 6th graders. She did not go on the mission trip, but she came with us today to help us out. But we have our senior and 2 of our 7th graders with us that came with us.
So we stocked up for the week. We had some awesome accommodations. How many of you all have been on a mission trip? How many of you have come into a house that has beautiful air conditioning, awesome bunk beds, washers and dryers on both floors, I mean 3 showers on each floor, 3 toilets, we felt like we were in a nice hotel compared to, nicer than some hotels, to be honest. At least for our accommodations, right? We were all pleasantly surprised, I think, when we came in there. The blue side is the boys' bunks, and the pink side ended up being the girls' accommodations. One of the first things we did, and we did this each night and actually every morning, was we did worship, right? And then we went to work. We walked to one site, and the other site was Miss Dora's house. And so we worked at Rusty Allen's. You want to talk a little bit about Rusty Allen's? Joyner was over there the most. Oh, yeah. All her things I go.
Rusty, we went there to go prepare his bath, and when we went there, we were expecting it to be somewhat half done, but to our surprise, it had not even been worked on. So we went there and we examined what was wrong, and the bathroom floor was very unstable, and it wobbled a lot, and the toilet didn't move. I mean, the toilet didn't move a lot, and the ceiling was collapsing in on us. So it was pretty bad.
The house he was living in was the original meeting house for Beattyville, Kentucky. It was over 130 years old. It had the original post office, the original corn mill, right on his property, and you could actually see the log cabin that had been built around, so you still see the original wood from that building. It's actually pretty cool.
You can see. Yes, we let them have power tools.
She did really good.
And what we ended up deciding and determining, because how we came in was not what we expected. We felt that in order for it to be worked upon further, we needed to stabilize the floor. So we did. Fortunately, we had access underneath with a basement-like area, which was a new experience for some of the youth. Basements are not a big thing around here. In Kentucky, Appalachia area, they are a very big thing. You have a basement everywhere for all sorts of wonderful things. So they worked on reframing and supporting. I mean, one of the parts of the bathroom was a trap door space, and so they braced that trap door so it wouldn't continue to go down. So yeah, they did pretty good. Where else did we work? Oh, Sarah, you did a lot. We also worked at Miss Dora's house. Miss Dora gave up for her tiny 2-bedroom house that had 1 bathroom to sacrifice it for the mission. And so when she started her mission work in the early mid-90s, in 96, 98, something like that, she ended up having people stay in one of those bedrooms, and then as the years have progressed since that time, we've added on. The space that we stayed in was one of the add-ons, and then the realization was made that she was essentially living in this very tiny kitchen space, almost like a studio apartment, like single 1-bedroom apartment, about less than 800 square feet, like 600 square feet. And the rest of the house, which was a 2-story crazy space, was completely sacrificed for mission. So the determination was about 3 years ago to build on this addition. And so each group that's come in has either added to or helped with or whatsoever. Well, when we came in, this is what we came into. You can see her couch. There's a big gaping hole in the floor, and the drywall's up, but the spackle is it was interesting, right? And so we filled in those gaps, right? Joyner and Luke, who's not here, helped alongside Chad and myself. We reframed the doorway. The pictures do not show it very well, but the doorway frame, like, what, it was,
The frame itself was like that, 'cause it was on a mountain. So we just added till we put it on that day.
it probably isn't still straight, but it looks straight, you know?
It's structurally fine. Use a lot of power tools. You kids know how to power tool and I know how to nail.
Yeah. That was fun, right? Learning how to hammer. Every single one of them learned how to hammer a nail, how to spackle, how to sand, how to measure, and mud. What else did we learn? I think that's pretty much it, right?
The kids, now, there is a lot of pictures of some of us, some of the adults doing it, but the main point is that all of our youth worked very hard. They were dead by dinner time. They were very tired. And they got it to the point of, now, this area,
We see.
that's the living room that we finished off. We got it to the point that all you now have to do is paint and lay flooring, and she has a living room. We have everything sealed off and everything. That was most of the kids. We were pretty much got kicked out of that area by Wednesday, and they took over. So they did a really good job.
All right. Yeah, something like that. Oh, backwards. Sorry. Okay, this is the other part. I wasn't part of this. You guys know more about this space than I do.
Well, mostly here is just storage of, Miss Dora in the basement, another basement of her house, she has like a little store that everything is for 25 cents. And there are clothes, food, snacks, makeup, jewelry, even a loom for rugs in there that we found. You know, what we were mostly doing was she recently got a shipment of more stuff, so we were just putting it all into a little.
Yeah, there's a storage area. But where does the 25 cents go to? Get rid of that? Goes to.
Miss Dora, when she had her store, she used to give away everything. She used to give it all away for free. And she ended up coming into some money trouble, so for that, she started selling everything for 25 cents and all of those
Paying for lights, electricity, because when we come in, they don't charge us to go in there. We don't have to pay a cent to live there. We pay for all of our materials, all of our tools, nails and everything, and you just leave it there for them to use next on whoever's coming in. But she doesn't gain any money from this at all. So everything she sells for 25 cents goes to help pay her light bill to have people like us come and stay at her place to work on other people's homes.
Some of the other shots we are doing all week. This is a joke. We had pizza the first night. It was like the best pizza that we've ever had. It might have been because it was at 11 o'clock at night. But it was good. It was like greasy, hot. It was just, yeah. You all know that's good pizza, right? But no, seriously, we made our own food all week long. Every breakfast, we kind of had a breakfast buffet of either cereal or leftover. I think one day we did do biscuits and gravy. They had a true Kentucky biscuits and gravy meal. That was what I grew up making, so we did. It doesn't. We had two groups, right? Kelsey Joyner and Alexis were on my team, I guess we could call it. And then Sarah, Brittany, and Melissa and Luke were on Chad's team. And so the two groups, one group would be doing dinner, and then the other group would be planning out worship each night. And so we kind of flipped back and forth on the different evenings and work with one another and all that fun, right? Miss Dora joined us each evening for food. We did go to town for ice cream. I think that was Wednesday. Yeah. This was pretty much the only restaurant in town. Was Dairy Queen. Except for the pizza place. Astoria took in not just people, but animals as well. Over the years, she has had a lot, right? How many cats were at the house?
There were somewhere around either 15 to 25 cats.
Not counting the kids.
Plus dogs. Plus dogs.
There were 2 dogs.
Tracy's 2 dogs.
Okay. There were a lot of animals. I mean, she took in animals, and I mean, if there was a wild animal that was hurt, someone could bring it to Miss Dora's, and they would take care of it. She had over the years either deer, she had raccoons, she had, you name it. It has come through her place. The kids loved the cats. Literally, this was every evening. They would sit on this porch space and just stare at them. We had no TV for a week, right? No TV, little internet access, and no phones. I mean, pretty much the phone calls you got were from a weird 919 number, and that was it, right? Now, Jordan and Kelsey went with me on a miniature adventure, and we ended up finding this park. It was near Heidelberg, which is just outside of Babyville. This is the natural dam. Well, it's not a natural dam, but it's now been created. And they have a levee there as well, which you can't see, but it's kind of on the forward part of the picture. But that was what we found, and we ended up going one evening. This is all the kids, all the little, you know, what are those things called? Merry-go-round? Is that what it's called? I don't know. But we had a lot of fun. At the end of the week, you girls want to talk about this? Yeah.
Well, what we decided to do for Miss Dora was we found 2 scripture verses. I don't really remember what they were. We also found this plank of wood, or cut a piece off from the last piece. But what we did was we drew a hill with a cross for one scripture, then we drew a house being built for the other, and it symbolized our mission for that.
And she hangs them all in the house. We saw ones from, on the outside, we saw ones from 96 when she actually started, from youth groups even down here from North Carolina that have come up before.
She's an ecumenical place, and so she's not necessarily affiliated with the Disciples. We went with the understanding through Disciples on Missions. Chad has quite a few contacts in Kentucky through Lon Oliver and the Appalachian Mission of Kentucky, and so we contacted him. He said, go here, and she's a Baptist. Yeah, she's a Baptist. It's okay.
She's a Baptist.
We forgive her. But this is the girls who worked on the board with Miss Dora. And that's the outside of this one place. Like I said, this one little section of her house has been worked on for 3 years. They've gotten it to this point, and now we've got it to where another group can come in and do another step. But she literally wanted us to work more on Rusty's house until we finally said, we just can't. We don't do plumbing. And so that was how we got a little bit more done on her house. And so this is our last day as we are preparing to leave for, where do we go? Cane Ridge. Cane Ridge, as you all know, and you've heard me talk about a lot, is the Disciples Historical Site. Yay! So not only was the trip fun and mission, we also got to go to a history site. Only I think that's exciting. This is, James. James Trader. Reverend James Trader, who he alongside his wife are the caretakers of Cane Ridge.
Found out his dad was the minister back in the 60s for Bath Christian Church and Palmville. The Christian Church in Palmville. That his dad was a minister for both. So he has ties down here to us.
He grew up down here, so he was like, oh. Those of you who have not been to Cane Ridge is the largest freestanding log cabin known to have been built. It is also one of the largest log cabins that is still in existence. Part of why it is still in existence is the reason behind the Cane Ridge Shrine. The building that they are entering is the shrine. It essentially encapsulates and covers the original log cabin. It is huge. This is a 2-story, could be 3-story tall log cabin. And so imagine the size of the building, and that is Kentucky roundstone, Yellowstone. That is what makes up the building. And so that inside part is the pulpit. We had a wonderful lecture from James. Kelsey preached for a little while. It just happened to be that was the clearest picture that came out of some of our time at Cane Ridge, and so, yeah, you all get to see it, right? We had a little bit of prayer together. We got to see, you can see on the bottom picture in particular, the space in and around. There are really amazing stained glass windows there. Next year, remember, is General Assembly is in Columbus, and one of the things we've been talking about is potentially stopping at Cane Ridge either on our way there or on our way back. Keep it in mind. We did communion. And to do communion at Cane Ridge was awesome. Cane Ridge is where our Disciples of Christ movement really began. Through Barton W. Stone. And it's an amazing experience to do communion there, right?
This is a museum with all the tools they used around the area. We took the kids out. Do you guys remember Boo Hut that was here in town? Remember Boo Hut, the Mongolian place? Yeah, that Mongolian barbecue. If you go up north, especially in Kentucky, or if you guys go to Columbus, that's where you want to go. Joyner kind of was the only one that really didn't like it, but he said it was okay. He's had it better, as he told me. But if you like meat and if you like vegetables, you will like this place. That's what that. So I can say everything.
I don't really eat Oriental food, Japanese, Chinese, or Mongolian, but when I went there,
It's really, really good. One of the benefits that Chad and I had in planning on the trip, we made the realization, if we go to Cane Ridge, rather than taking the kids to King's Dominion, it is only from Cane Ridge about an hour and a half to Cincinnati. So it worked out well for us to take them to Kings Island. And so that's where we went, and it happens to be where I grew up. And so we've also met up with my family. So the crazy people that you see kind of in the middle are me and my family and my sisters. Who you guys have met my parents. You have not met my sisters. And that is okay.
Feel blessed on that.
We also went to, where did we go? Grader's Ice Cream, which is a big Cincinnati thing. You guys can get the ice cream at Sheets. It's worth it. Get it. It's awesome. It's French churn, amazingness. This was the fun part. Many of you saw this on Facebook. Chad and I had our anniversary on the 18th. Our wedding cake came from the bakery. This was our anniversary cake. They totally messed it up, but it just makes it better.
I got married twice, I guess. No
It's called a harem check. He said he must have
So
been.
that night we stayed at the church that I grew up in. We didn't get any pictures outside of this of the church, but
Everyone's tired by that time.
I think you just said whatever. This is us having breakfast on our way to Kings Island, but we did go to the church that I grew up in, which is a totally, how different is it? Yeah. Essentially, how many of you all have been in Covenant? In our Methodist church? Picture that as a disciples' church. But with symbols of faith, if that makes sense. Like we did have, their crosses and there's baptistry in the front and the screen. I mean, the screens are up, but they're like built in. It's not. Although they don't have lights like this, they really do need them. Anywho, this was the church. That's where we're in. And here is Kings Island, right? That was our favorite part the whole week. Maybe. The people you don't know that aren't in purple, that's my family. Okay. This is us going in and around Kings Island. Kings Island is about twice the size of Kings Dominion, 3 times the size of Kings Dominion. So if you've been to Kings Dominion, it's 3 times the size of Kings Dominion. And it has a water park as part of it. Some of us had fun with water park. Who had fun with water park? Yeah. Trainer. I think this is the only ride that all of us actually ended up riding. It was the Scrambler. It was worth it though. There's Sarah on the swings. Sarah, were you the only one that went on the swings?
She's behind.
Oh! You know what this is, right? This is our ride home.
Very nice.
And that is pretty much how it ended. So that was our trip. And one of the things we asked the kids to think about was, what was their favorite part of the mission trip? And they were not allowed to say Kings Island, food, park, or downtown, right? Go.
My favorite part of the trip was meeting Rusty and Miss Dora and helping them with their needs and also meeting their multitude of animals.
My favorite part was when we got a hammer. Learned how to hammer.
Learn how to hammer.
I think you have to turn it on.
Is it all around?
Trombone.
Has it really?
So your favorite part.
Is learning
Now it's there.
learning how to hammer.
Learn how to hammer.
My favorite part was helping the store and learning how to hammer.
My favorite part was going and helping someone who basically had nothing and making their lives so much better and seeing afterwards all of our work that we've done and seeing how they're so happy and showing their gratitude towards us.
I think one of the biggest things that we learned on this mission trip, and it was something that Miss Dora told us time and time again, was to be thankful. This woman has had a building being built on her property for 3 years. Most of us would cringe. But every single group that came in or did something, no matter what it was enough. Because it was a one step more on the process. And it was one step more in learning and in giving, right? I think that was something that we all definitely took away. So that was our mission trip.
What was your favorite?
I think my favorite part was seeing all these guys learn how to hammer. I'm not joking. You know, one of the things that we went in not expecting to have to know quite as much as we did, if that makes sense. Sometimes you get caught into the mission trip thing where you're expecting to have somebody there who at least knows what they're doing. Apparently that was us. Right? And the fun of all the skills that Chad and I have picked up over the years, good, bad, or indifferent, and seeing and teaching and doing all those sort of things, I think that was my favorite part. Because we all had fun with it, right? At the end of the week, Grant, you, Joyner did beat me in hammering. He was really proud of himself too. By the end of the week, when we were putting down that layer of the floor, it wasn't like anyone had to ask what to do or how to do it. Everyone just picked up their hammer, knew how to hold it, took the nails, and we did it in what, like 45 minutes? I mean, we literally laid that entire floor, cuts and all, in 45 minutes. And that was an awesome accomplishment from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. The transformation of each of us, I think, was profound. So, yay. And that's our mission trip. That was what we did. That was how we served out of love. Now you all can go sit down.